Academia is designed to make you think that you're lazy and imperfect. There's a big difference between what you're actually supposed to do and what happens. And the reason is that there is a lot of ambiguity that happens along the way. And how do you do this in a way to communicate and let other people know that your ideas are sound? And this ambiguity is the thing that often drives people to do things that, we do all of the things that are very natural to us as human beings. We do things like social comparison, which means that we compare against other people. And in a normal environment, this would kind of make sense. The problem is that everybody's on their own path, and there's not an easy way to figure out who is the person that you're supposed to model after. You're the only one doing this particular thing in the world, whatever you're working on. And so you model after other people that look more successful based on publications and things like that, research grants, and what you're neglecting is that there's a social structure that's behind it that often has very little to do with the individual themselves. Now, the other thing that ends up happening with this ambiguity is you start processing and thinking that you're behind, that you're somehow and how we deal with the ambiguity of feeling like you're behind or feeling like you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing results in a lot of peculiar behavior, where we think that one way is that maybe there's bad behavior and that we sort of project where we want to be, or do things like try to get ahead and aggressive behaviors. I tend to want to not tell anybody about things that are going on. And this is probably actually more typical. You'll see people do that all of the time, in that they don't want to address the issue, and so they have a tendency to hide from particular issues. So rather than feeling like a playful playground where you're just interacting and trying to help each other out, it often feels that you're in direct competition, and it feels not so great when you're doing it. So inevitably it makes you feel, the whole academic game and what happens makes you feel that you're somehow inferior. And here is the thing that's the most frustrating, is that you can't tell anybody about it. Nobody else understands the things that you're actually going through. And even people that are other academics, they often don't understand either, because their fields are different, their subfields are different, and so they have different patterns of what is actually going on. So what can we do about this? I think the one way that we can deal with this is flip it on its head. And that requires a lot more courage than a lot of people are actually used to. And that requires you to often speak up and do things that are countercultural. So yes, you could do things like protect yourself by joining unions and things like that. That is one possible way of doing it, but that doesn't solve the real issue. And the real issue is that we're often very difficult to, or we often are afraid to be ourselves, because we think that if we're ourselves, then somehow somebody is going to trounce on us. And so there's all these learned behaviors of what professionalism looks like. And even when you push back against it, there's going to be somebody that's going to make a comment about something, about how you are not good enough, or that you're not being professional. I can do that, but me, myself, I'm going to be myself. And it's all about learning how to do this, is to be yourself in a market, in a space, an arena where everybody thinks that there is a perfect way of doing something, and they're very clear on what this perfect thing is. So the best thing that you can ever do is learn how to be yourself, and to encourage and be a joy to be around, rather than following the sort of professional route that everybody expects of you, because it's an unattainable goal. So the goal is to simply just be kind, generous, and thoughtful. And the only way that you're going to get there is to remove all of the sense of that you're behind. Anytime that I've felt scared and I've felt that I've had to lash out in some way, every single time it's when I've felt like a failure or behind or judged or anything like that. And the best thing that you can possibly do is to come in calmly and just be yourself and be kind and generous repeatedly. So I encourage you to not read into too much of the whole professional market and what it means to go some way or be something, and just be yourself. Love who you are and take those steps every day. And if you don't fit in right now, that's probably a good sign. It probably means that you're of a different generation, and that's healthy to be of a different generation. It means you simply just have to be yourself, time and time again. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.